Hey guys, Bowler here with a different type of video. This is a guide for new players in the SSF2 scene who want to play competitively and enter tournaments. With the release of SSF2 beta about 2 weeks ago, there's a lot of new players who want to make a name for themselves and play competitively. And I know a lot of my fanbase probably doesn't enter tournaments or isn't quite active in the competitive scene, and that's fine. Not everyone has to play competitively, and a lot of people find fun in the game casually, and I can agree with them. But for those of you who want to prove that you're the best, or at least want to compete, this is the video for you. First, I'll be going over the competitive rule set, and then I'll go over SSF2 tournaments, and I'll finish with where you can go to find people to practice with and tournaments to enter. First, I'll explain a common misconception, and that's what rule set we use. Although 2-stock and 3-stock matches are still competitive, 4-stock is the near universally used rule set in tournaments. Some people do prefer 3-stocks, and I can see some good reasons for it. But as of this video, 4 stocks, 8 minutes is the preferred way to play and is used in almost all tournaments. Also, if it wasn't obvious already, items and hazards are turned off. So now that we have a rule set out of the way, let's talk stages. Since there isn't a completely 100% set in stone stage list yet, and there's a large amount of competitive stages in SF2 compared to the main Smash games, tournaments tend to run different stage lists than each other. However, in general, the neutral stages are usually Battlefield, Final Destination, Tower of Salvation, Smashville, and Pokemon Coliseum. However, both Dreamland and Yoshi's Story are also possible neutral stages depending on the stage list being used, and can still be considered neutral stages. I'd also like to mention that both 3DS and Waiting Room are basically alternative versions of Final Destination, and are fine if both players agree to it in the tournament, similarly to Omegas in Smash 4. As for counterpicks, there's just so many and it really depends on the tournament you go to. Here's a bunch of examples of possible counterpick stages: Castle Siege, Jungle Hijinks, WarioWare, Dracula's Castle, Sky Sanctuary Zone, Saturn Valley, Rainbow Route, and Metal Cavern. There's plenty of other possible stages that could be considered tournament legal, but that's up for the community to decide. I'm personally not in favor of forcing people to play on stages they don't want to play on in tournaments. I think it's up to the community as a whole to decide what stages we want to play in tournaments. Anyways, you might be wondering what this all means. What's a neutral stage? What's a counterpick stage? And why does it matter? Well, in normal 1v1s it doesn't matter. You can pick any stage as long as it's somewhat competitive. But in a tournament, it does matter. If two players meet in a bracket, the first thing they have to do is set up the match. They both pick their characters and are ready to fight, but what stage do they pick? To make for the most fair experience, the first game is only played on stages called neutral. Usually, it's the 5 stages I mentioned before. The next step is to begin a process referred to as stage striking. Basically, both players take turns eliminating stages until there's only one left, which is the stage they play on. This is usually done in a 1-2-1 fashion, with player 1 banning one stage, player 2 banning 2, and then player 1 banning another one, leaving one stage left. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing, because it's really important in tournament play. After the match, the winner of the match gets to strike 2 stages out of both the neutral and counterpick stages. The loser of the match then picks one of the remaining stages. This process repeats until a player wins 2 matches, winning the best out of 3. Now I'll be going over how a normal tournament is run. First off, basically 99% of SSF2 tournaments are held online, and that's what I'll be covering. This makes access to tournaments much easier for new players, but also may discourage players who don't want to play in laggy connections. It is generally frowned upon to enter tournaments with bad internet, and can result in being disqualified. So for the sake of others, please only enter tournaments if your internet is stable. Now when you go to the tournament page, you'll see a button that lets you register. You can then simply click the button and register with your challenge account. The tournaments will also usually say when it's happening and when it takes place on the page. And most tournaments also have a check-in button, which means you need to go to the page of the tournament and click the check-in button during the check-in time. Don't forget to check in for a tournament before it happens, or you'll be disqualified. Now that you're registered, you should check the description of the tournament for a full list of its rules and the chat room it's using to communicate. Most tournaments use Discord to chat, so you'll likely need a Discord account to play. Then, when the tournament begins, you play against the player that's in your bracket. Most brackets are double elimination, which means even if you lose, you can still play in the loser's side of bracket. All the sets are best out of 3 except for winners finals, losers finals, and grand finals, which are best out of 5. Hopefully this isn't too confusing, and most tournaments have their rules in the descriptions if you need clarification. Anyways, you're probably wondering where you can go to play in tournaments and practice for competitive players. There's 3 places I'd recommend. The first is Anther's Ladder, which not only has a competitive leaderboard for SSF2 players, but also has a tournament page which is usually updated with new tournaments. The second place I'd recommend is the SSF2 official Discord, which is a great place to meet new people to play against and find out about new tournaments. Lastly, you can go check the SSF2 forums tournament page for an updated list of new tournaments. That should just about cover everything, and I hope it wasn't too confusing. And before I finish the video, since the video is centered around tournaments, I'm actually hosting my own tournament for you guys. The link to the tournament page is in the description below, so if you're new to this, it's a great way to get into the competitive SSF2 scene. As for the chat room, it'll be held in my SSF2 Discord, and you'll have to be there to enter the tournament. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.